Going to school here several years ago. I believe Hudson, you also attended schools somewhat before me. So it feels a bit of nostalgia. And it's also important for me because it is here, I believe, that last year that we had the first nomination of Hudson in the school hall at that time. And now we are here again to do, according to the party's constitution, what is the correct thing to do before any election, to have all candidates nominated. And I certainly want to congratulate Hudson this evening for having the unanimous approval of the members of this branch, the BLP members of this branch, a branch that he has been working hard to build and increase the numbers, and he should be congratulated, he and his team, for increasing the numbers. I think a lot has been said by about Hudson, but I think there's some qualities he exhibits certainly in St. John. There is that enthusiasm which he had in the by-election and which he has not lost, even though he was devastated. That has continued. He has this keen determination and a certain belief in himself that he has made significant inroads in St. John, and I certainly believe, listen to some of the people, that he has made significant inroads. They still, however, a lot of work to be done. But to his advantage, he has the incumbent. Miss Mara Thompson, I'll call her name. She's the incumbent. She's the MP. And when you listen to Hudson today and hear him articulate on your behalf and about the issues of housing in this country, well, he sounds better than some of the ministers in government. And he was not reading any prepared speech. And that is one thing I have a problem with, and I'm sorry that the Marshal is not here. That every time Mara Thompson gets up in Parliament to speak, she reads, and not one of our MPs, not one of them, is man or woman enough to get up in Parliament and challenge her according to the standing orders of Parliament, which say that you should not read. And we are allowing her to get away with nonsense. Because oftentimes she's reading a speech that was just presented to her the day before, the morning before. Reading it without any contact with it emotionally or otherwise. And she's speaking 30 minutes allocated in an estimate debate. And she could only read for 9 minutes and 42 seconds. I could not even read the speech properly. But she's supposed to be some wonder person. A queen. A man on his damn bed bequeathed the seat for her. And a liar said that he was dead, he heard him say so. Well, her father was a politician in St. Lucia. I wanted to really. He was chairman of UWP. He was all sorts of things for John Compton. He never bequeathed anything to her. One night in Charles Trees, the people threw a bag of feces in his face. He didn't bequeath anything to her. But there's some interesting things. Because when you read about Jerome, you read that when he died, he owed the governor of St. Lucia over $800,000 in income taxes. So we must, you know what they say about the apple of the tree. You know what they say? So when we hear all of these things about Clico and this and that, we must remember where it starts. The apple doesn't fall too far from the tree. And I'm coming back to that. Because all politics is local. And I will start in St. John and end in St. John. But there's some things that we need to address. But before I forget, there's we saw in the newspaper about some topaz blue granite being imported into Barbados. And the granite will be used in the covering of the grave of the Honorable David Thompson, QC MP, and should therefore be free of import duty. Enough said. Enough said. Lisa. In 2008, there was a political campaign in this country. The Democratic Labour Party at that time went throughout the length and breadth of this country, extolling the virtues of that party under the divine leadership of one David Thompson, as he thought he was at that time. They spoke about transforming the society. We were the worst criminals that ever walked Barbados. They were going to bring about change. They were interested in moving people forward. And they had a number of slogans. They were going to reduce the cost of living. Indeed, the night of the election, Thompson went further and said, job number 1, 2, and 3, the cost of living. They were going to bring families first. Yeah, the movement is in John, I believe. I don't know if it is still in existence. We have not heard a single member of the BLP, whether in the House, in the Executive, or in the Senate, use that phrase since October 2010. Families first is in St. John's graveyard. They spoke about bringing transparency and good governance to the matters of this country. And they were going to bring back the whole idea of national development to this society. That we were lost, that we had led Barbadians astray, and it was sold to the highest bidder. And all of these things were going to come by voting for the Democratic Labour Party. And even then, Thompson started this whole myth that the government was about not about building an economy, but building a society. Even when he was telling you that the Democratic Labour Party was about building a society, and this is serious business. Even when he was telling you that, you know, he was even being dishonest. He was deceiving you, because in the BLP's manifesto 2008, when you open it, it makes reference to the vision for Barbados. Nowhere in the BLP manifesto it about any nonsense to any society. First page, and it made a reference to the National Strategic Plan to Barbados up to 2025, which Thompson and his group incidentally refused to debate in Parliament or to take part in the debate. And this piece, this is where Thompson got his story about the society. He read, a society that places people at the center of development and through economic enfranchisement offers each and every individual the freedom and opportunity to develop their talents to their full potential. And you have heard David Thompson say this as if it was his, as if it was some new mantra that he had coined and some vision he had for Barbados. Even then, he was deceiving you. Even to the end, he was deceiving you. A society symbolized by creativity, innovation, industry, productivity, entrepreneurship, intellectual excellence, in which all enjoy a rich cultural, social, and economic life. That is what the BLP had for you. We knew about the society, and that is what we were embarking on. And we asked you at the time to join us in that journey. But even that was not an official, an original idea from Thompson. And what we need in this society, basic things. A fair, just, equitable society where everyone expects that they can earn a decent and honest living, where there's respect for law and order. But importantly, in having and building that society, there must be a feeling of trust in your leaders and the leadership that is given to that society, so that you feel confident that you're being guided and taken along in the development of your society, you feel part of it. But that is where the deception begins. Cost of living. And I said you need to survive in the society. Cost of living. And the dam spoke about it. Barbados can rest assured. Barbados can and should rest assured that a Democratic Labour Party administration will do something tangible and meaningful about this vexing issue of cost of living, because we are beholden to no one. 4 years later, the cost of every single thing in Barbados has gone up. Food has gone up by over 25%, water by 60%, electricity by 40 to 50%, VAT has increased, your telephone has increased, your fuel prices have increased, everything, land taxes. But they were beholden to no one. And they were going to do something tangible about the cost of living. And about 4 weeks ago, Minister Steve Black, is his name?
Jacket, sleeve jacket.
That is what he is. But I thought he was married. Anyhow, in his poverty report, with his best television voice, and his best Italian suit, a big broad grin on his face, well powdered, and telling you how pleased he was to deliver a state of poverty report in Barbados, and then read out without any contact, either emotionally, mentally, or intellectually, with a report telling you that in this country, that in 2010, because the survey was done in 2010, 24,000 people in this society were poverty stricken. They didn't know where the next meal was coming from.
You should be ashamed.
And you tell me about building a society. That report went on to say that an additional 28,000 people were not stricken, but were below the poverty line. 52,000 people in a population of 280,000 living below the poverty line. And you have a BLP telling you that they are building a society. What type of society can they be building? Do you really believe that they can be serious? Do you think that they understand the significance of the free education in Barbados? Or do you think that you are all a bunch of fools who have no understanding of what a society is and what it is about building a society? But while this is happening, ministers, some who couldn't even afford to pay their rent for their apartments, who were having Jeffrey Warner's opposite you, who were having their locks changed for not paying the rent, who were sprinting, some who were still in court for owing $900,000 for the club upstairs, and it was no names being called. Now $1 million and $2 million properties in 4 years. I'm telling you about building a society. Are they serious? They tell you about good governance. And I need to quote their manifesto because this was what they used throughout. Good governance. Under a DLP government, page 47 of their manifesto, the people will be kept informed of what the government is doing on their behalf through the publication of details of agreements and contracts involving the government and its agencies. I don't know anything of the contract for the 1,026 houses, But the people in Barbados are asking for the contract to Rihanna.
Yes.
How much was paid? You heard the minister say that there was a small profit. And they didn't have, Rihanna was not paid a cent. But the people want to see the contract. And in building this society, you told the people that you were going to show them all of the contracts. They will be available to you. To build that society, your people need to have trust in you. To believe what you say to them. Do you have that trust?
No.
Can you have that trust?
No.
There's an interesting one, and we were attacked night after night about this one. About somehow that we were in some pact with foreign people to convert agricultural land into residential and to sell to the highest bidder. And this was reprehensible. And the BLP was going to deal with this. So that on page 42, in building this good society, the Democratic Labour Party is committed to changing this and creating a new land use policy for Barbados. The DLP government will therefore, in the first 100 days, not years, not weeks, the first 100 days introduce the Agriculture Protection Act that will require a 2/3 majority of both houses of Parliament for a change of use of land from agriculture. Hasn't happened yet. David Thompson, in June 2010, got on his dying bed because he was dead from mail.
Yes.
And went down to St. Lucie to turn the soil at Pickering. 243 acres of prime agricultural land. Not a dot. Sandy has to come to the second. 200, since then, thousands of acres of agricultural land have been converted. Ministers building apartments on agricultural land in St. Philip. I can't. I don't. The Attorney General involved in building apartments in St. Philip. And it was agricultural land before. I can say that he didn't get to change it. Not a word in Parliament. 4 years later. And we have the one called James Paul. Stammering. Can't finish a sentence. And he's telling you about Barbados becoming self-sufficient, and it is an atrocity. Not a word out of him. When David Thompson went to Pickering, not a word. But he is keeping the faith about agriculture, and agricultural land must be protected, and Barbados is to become self-sufficient. And he has never planted a cucumber seed anywhere in this country. James Paul has never planted a cucumber seed anywhere in this. Don't he did agriculture, he did business management. And the only job he could find was at the BLS. Then he got fired and then you regard him. But he is directing your body. And he don't listen to him. Eswick doesn't listen to him. At least he's the minister of agriculture, he's sick. But that's another story. But not for this evening. Not for this evening. The Clico matter. It is called, his illness is called the Richard Seeley syndrome. Richard Seeley was announced to act as acting prime minister, and he became sick. They said the pressure became uncontrolled and he had to rest. I don't know. But he was done in 3 weeks. 3 weeks. Even then, I said what the justice said, 3 weeks for hypertension. The average Barbadian gets a week or 2. But that brings me to another matter with him. Because when we speak about contracts, don't forget that he turned the soil recently for a new water authority headquarters.
Yeah.
No one knows that it was a tendering process. that anybody bid to do it. Those are the sort of contracts that we need to see. But we're not seeing those things. But while all of this is happening, we have a Prime Minister, interesting character. He's going to deal with the school, with like Alexandra School. There's going to be a phase 2, hasn't happened. He's going to deal with the persons, the eager 11, hasn't happened. It's time to visit the guy Garcia. With everything that is happening that needs his attention, he has time to visit that. And he's one who is keen on building this society. So you have the whole matter of Clico. Congress has spoken about it. 35,000 Barbadians and their families affected, and some will soon be affected. And not a word from him because he has not seen the report. Now they must think, Comrade Phillips said that they were buffoons, but they must think that you're all buffoons. Do you believe that from the stroke went to heads of government meeting 2 weeks ago in Suriname, where there was a special session on Clico, and he would have told any of the prime ministers there that he has not read that report, so he cannot speak? You believe that he went to that meeting and didn't speak to that man? You'd be naive to believe that. But this is what I was speaking about. Where is the leadership? The people are crying out to you. You are the leader. You are the one they put their confidence in, their trust in. So as you said, to build this society. And where are you missing in action? And he has to be condemned for this. Because if there is one time that the country is calling and yearning for leadership, it's from them. I don't know if he still washes his socks on Sundays, running over them, if he's pondering on these matters. But that's how he said it. One time he said that's how he made his most significant decisions. So that is where we are. Are we building the society that they are supposed to be taking us into? Do you really think they are serious when they say this? And more importantly, is that society being built in St. John? Hudson read a riddle, not into riddles. Mara Thompson does not reside at Mars anymore. She moved from Mars. She lives in St. James, in a property, ironically, that is a Clico project. Crystal Heights, developed by Clico. Paris has 2 condos. I believe she or her husband has 1 or 2. Her daughter is going to West Terrace primary. Ties severed with fear. Not interested in you. Not interested in politics. Certainly not interested in representing anyone in St. John's. Interested in this point in time with selling her husband's estate, the details of which are shrouded in secrecy, but will have to be revealed. Will have to be revealed. But she has to answer some questions. Because Comrade Phillips read from the auditor report. And he spoke to the fact that in January the 16th, 2009, the transaction of $3.3 million went through Thompson and Associates. You need to find out if Mara Thompson was the office manager. I don't know that she was. I don't know. And she also then has to tell you who would have signed the check. So she's not washed in any blood of any house. And she's no queen of St. John. Never was. And certainly is not interested in being any queen. Might be something else. Not a queen. Not a queen. But interestingly enough, she was, we don't know, she might have been the office manager. She should know who signed the check. She has a registered company with Paris' wife. They bought a property in Martins Bay. What's the name of it again? Marfay Investments. $900,000. I don't know if it was cash or bank. But they didn't go to the bank. She's living in a clique-over development. Now this is more than a coincidence.
That's a shame.
This is more than a coincidence. This is a web, I don't want to say corruption, a web of deceit. Where people in Barbados have been given the impression that this company is sound, that we have confidence in it, and that people can do all sorts of things. $9 million for a plane, which Thompson flew on quite often when he was alive. And that they had built this little group who could thereby benefit from Clico. And you have 35,000 persons who put their hard-earned savings in there, and you seem to show little or no regard for them. And at the center of that, Dr. Thompson is there, is his wife, who is the Queen of St. John. The Queen of St. John. And the web is really difficult to get through. Really difficult. And I think the people in St. John will have to really make and ask themselves some searching questions in terms of having this person continue to be their representative. Bearing in mind what I said earlier, in terms of building a society. Because the society that is being built is certainly one that we do not want to continue. Where you can have a group of people benefiting from Clico, and you can have a man stealing 3 pounds, valued at $300, being shot in his buttocks, and being incarcerated for 2 years in 24 hours. And the signals are there. That is the society that we are building. That is the message you're sending to the boys and the block, and to the youth, and to the unemployed. That this is the society we are building. 2 Barbadoses. Those who can use whatever means to get what they can, and those of you who will get these crumbs. And if you try to take anything, yours is God's. And that cannot be the society that we want to build in Barbados in 2012. Cannot be. And I think you need to bring Mara to account. And I'm going to finish here. She needs to tell you a polyclinic is being built in St. John. Never mentioned in the BLP manifesto. In fact, if you go through the BLP manifesto, the 2 words St. John are not in here. Flawless polyclinic. Find out how many jobs she got for anyone in Gold Hill on that construction site. And she's the representative. Find out how many houses she's had built that she can hand over to people since she's been the MP. Find out from her if it is true. And I have to put this one properly. Lynette, you there? Guide me. If by chance I met someone who was employed by her had a reduction in salary, she became an MP. And finally, after all the talk about non-nationals, if it is true that her housekeeper, who was here for 25 years from St. Lucia, became ill and could not benefit from the NIS because you know why. Those are some of the things that you need to find out from these people who come to you. Come to you, lies and deception, and telling you about building a society. Comrades, I think the answer is clear. Clear. The people in Barbados are not fools. It is clear to them what is happening. Hence, whenever you canvass, people are asking, when do you think elections will be? People ask you, brother, you know this, when election will be, when they're going to do one thing. They have made up their minds. And we must ensure that when the time comes, we have done the job. That it will be clear that the people of Barbados will return Owen Arthur, along with Hudson Griffith, along with our people, to run this country properly, to restore, rebuild Barbados, and deliver us to where we were. Thank you very much.